Welcome to the Play Ed 3 podcast, where you're the reoccurring guest, whether you're in the classroom or shaping education behind the scenes. I'm Tisha Poncio.
And I'm Rick Butterworth. Together, we bring stories, insights, and conversations that matter to educators, learners, and change makers. Our goal is to bring everyone together to learn, grow, and play. Welcome to the Play Ed 3 podcast. My name is Rick, and as always, I'm here with my amazing co-host, Tish. Tish, another week, another episode. I mean, this one's a very interesting one. This is our 10th episode now. This is
It's
a
our 10th
milestone.
episode?
This is a mini milestone for us.
You know, you said this one time when we first started the podcast that if we can make it to 10, we'd be like successful.
Yeah, I would be very, very happy if we make it to 10. And the thing is, we've got an amazing guest for our 10th episode, which
I know.
I'm super excited about.
I wish I had brought like confetti and things, but I didn't. I just
Let me see if there's a graphic for that. I don't know.
Do you have
I'm still playing around with Riverside. You never know, might actually appear. I might do in post, have some celebratory confetti.
Yeah, I think our guest for this episode is rightly so. Like the universe sort of conspired for this to happen because we didn't plan on it in this way. But so I'm going to say some words to you before I introduce our guest. And these words are going to describe our guest. So community, public education, co-creation, adventure, Minecraft, eSports, culturally responsive learning, Ed3 DAO, ISTE, Digital Promise, Play Matters, EduMatch. Shout out to EduMatch. I like this, transformation. So those words are describing our guest. Our guest is Amanda Macias, and we have known her for a very long time. She's a very passionate educator, but passionate about all sorts of things, not just education. And I'm so excited to have you today, Amanda. Welcome to the Play Ed 3 podcast, where we play and we talk about education.
Thank you. I was so excited to see even just your podcast start. I was like, oh my gosh, they're doing it. Like they're doing this thing. And so thanks so much. It's awesome to be here. I was telling you guys before we kind of started and got our little side chats, it felt like the first time you go like on a trip with your family or like a Disneyland trip, I could not sleep.
Aww,
I literally was so excited. So
we're so excited to have you. We just saw our friend Fonz, and he said to tell you hello. So shout out to my EdTech Life. But also, it was funny. He said something to us when we were talking to him. He said, "Yeah, it was like we didn't see you guys for a while, and then suddenly, bam, you have a book, and then you have a podcast." It's so interesting that a lot of us in the EdTech space sometimes go quiet for projects that we're working on, or maybe we are shifting our roles. What I would love for you to do for those who are listening who are not familiar with you, I did give you a really fun intro, but I do want you to speak to the things that you're passionate about, kind of tell your story on how you got to this hot seat, what brought you to education, what really lights your fire in education.
Lots of things light my fire. I'm pretty spicy, honestly. I just really love learning and learned that from a very, very young age. The teachers that I had and the people that I was around, it makes me emotional because they were just so powerful in life. And so thinking about education in general, I kind of wanted at a young age to be a teacher because I was always sort of naturally that teacher leader in my family. But I wanted to be a teacher and an astronaut as a young kid. And then the 80s happened and the Challenger Challenger happened. I don't want to take us down that dark road.
Well, can we just talk about that for a second? I was don't you think that so many of us and so many listening, I think back to that moment where we were all in class and we were sitting there and they brought us together to watch this. event. And then we
Yeah.
continued to watch the event. And then we went home to watch the news. And it was like this traumatic, tragic event
Totally.
that I
So
think,
it kind
yeah,
of changed my trajectory. I
yeah.
remember like sitting in the little portable classroom, right? Because that's what we had
Mhm.
in the area that I live. And we were sitting there and they rolled in the cart. We're like, yay. We had the spaceship room, theme and whatever, the whole cutouts. And we were so excited. And then all of a sudden something happened. We didn't really understand it. And then they were like, okay, we're done with this. We're going to go back to learning, and went home. It was like,
Mhm.
wait, what
Mhm.
happened? So it didn't stop my love of science and love of technology and love of those
Mm.
things, but it kind of like drove me more towards the education side. And then
Yeah.
later on down the road, got into college, and there's a lot of things that happened throughout those times, and we would need like a whole like tea session to do that. But I went to college, was the first one in my family to go to college, first of all.
Yeah,
We've
me
been like
too.
3 or 4 generations to finish high school kind of
Mm.
thing. And so like it was a big deal.
It's a
I
big
was like,
deal.
this is my pathway. This is where I'm going.
Mm.
And when I went into college, I didn't originally study to become an educator. I studied to become a coroner. And I had an
Really?
internship with our local sheriff's department, and I just started to work with them, go on ride-alongs, do that kind of thing. I wanted to be like a forensic scientist and
Yeah.
do those things and study and help people solve crimes,
Mhm.
because I
Mhm.
love solving crimes. I always tell my husband I can find anybody on the internet you need to find.
Ooh.
If you're looking for somebody,
Ooh,
private investigation is
there's
like
an
a whole 'nother
advertisement
side
right
thing.
there.
Yeah, so, like, if you need to find friends that you've been listening, like, losing, like, let me know. No, not really, but I kind of went down that pathway of science, and I got to a point where the access to science was just not there for me,
Mm.
and it didn't reflect the science area that I wanted to go into, didn't reflect the values that I had at that time.
Mm.
And some other things had happened in life, and you know how life goes, it kind of ebbs and flows and does
Sure.
different things, and you think it's going to be like, yes, I'm going to be a coroner, here's what I'm going to do, and then something else happens, and I decided, you know what, I really love people.
Mm.
I don't think I want to be locked up in a lab. I don't think I want to be working by myself and doing these things and going out by myself and being on call 24/7. So
Mhm.
I thought, education, you know what, that's a pathway that I haven't really thought about. And so my catalyst for that was one of my professors. And she basically was like my math professor, and she was the first math professor who ever put math in the context of history, and I'm a huge
Ooh.
history person, that I've never seen those two things in the same context together.
Wow.
And so she had made it fun. We did paper folding, we did Fibonacci sequences. We learned all about that type of stuff, and the connection between the historical context of that sold me on the education side. So then I
Wow.
just went down that path, and I've been on that path ever since. It's been 20 some odd years. I said I never left education, so could we just add the like 25 years prior or
Sure.
whatever to that, and
Absolutely.
then say that's how long I've been teaching? But
Yeah.
yeah, long story short,
Well, no,
um,
that's incredible because
that was kind of my pathway.
this professor, this math professor who has tied history, your love of
Mhm.
history to math was really the catalyst that got you into education, which I think is so interesting. And I think are you still connected with this professor? Do you still have ties to anybody that was in that class?
I was fortunate enough to work with her um, on some girls with STEM coding type stuff.
Okay.
This is back in the 90s, so we didn't kind of have like STEM and those type of
Mhm.
things. Really, those weren't really the buzzwords back then. And we did a girls' camp one summer, and we had a cohort that was called GEMS, Girls Excelling in Math and Science, and it was
Mm.
like over spring break. And I got to volunteer with them, and I got to do some presentations with them. And unfortunately, since then, she's passed. But
Mm.
there's still at the rec center at University of California, Riverside, they still have a rec center area named for her because she was
Wow.
so influential in our community.
That's
And so,
incredible.
yeah,
What a
yeah,
foundation for you. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't know that about you. I've known you for a while. I've known some of your passions, but to know that that was really the catalyst. I think so many of us have these pivotal moments with people who really influence us to go in different directions. And so I love that you've shared that story. Rick looks like he might have a question. Rick, do you have questions?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've seen with you, Amanda, you're very much of not just the typical classroom setup, or even just the typical subjects.
You mean
that you have.
Standard teacher? I'm just kidding.
Ooh, we're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that. That's for another episode, maybe.
As the students would say, you're not a normal teacher. That's what they would tell me all the time. So
you're not.
Sorry, go ahead and
You're an outlier.
That's fine. So I think one of the things that's really interested me with everything that you've done, eSports. You're a fan of gaming. You advocate for eSports in schools and stuff. So I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate, and there's probably a question that I'm going to ask that you're just going to be like, not this one again. But there's going to be parents, there's going to be teachers that are still going to be thinking exactly the same that they have done for God knows how long. Why should students be doing eSports? It has nothing to do with the curriculum. It has no benefits to their education. I want little Johnny to be an engineer. What's playing a first-person shooter going to have any benefits to him being an engineer in any shape or form? What do you have for the people that are still challenging the likes of eSports within education?
I think we have to think beyond just playing the game. Is kind of where it starts, right? I think there's so many different pathways, and like eSports is not just, hey, go compete and play this game. Like if you think of traditional sports, right? Like running. My husband did track. I did tall flags. I was the band geek. Yes, I did drill downs, all those things, right? Okay. It was so much fun for me because it was like something that was, creative and fun. But if you think about eSports in a bigger context and try to map it onto what students enjoy doing and love doing and have a passion for doing. And I know people always say, don't do what you love because it'll be super hard. If I didn't do what I loved, I wouldn't still be there today.
Yeah.
Right. So, thinking about the eSports in a broader sense and a more globalized sense. So you mentioned engineer.
Yeah.
There is so much engineering and thought and problem solving and even entrepreneurship. I know that was in your book. Like that was the first chapter I actually went to, and I'll tell you why later. But like so many creative ways of communicating with each other and working together and coming together. And like people see gaming in this stigma way of like, I'm going to play this game by myself. And there's all that whole thing about parents' basement and all that stuff, right? That is no longer what gaming is. I'm sorry. I'm a gamer. I love video games. I don't play them all the time. I wish I had more time to do that. But the reason why people play is community. Yeah. I used to play with a veteran military veteran in Texas, rock band. He was my drummer. And I was the guitarist and the singer because I could
love
do
this
both at the same time, right? And we used to actually stream it. Funny enough,
this is so cool.
You can probably find it if you look hard enough. I'm not gonna tell you won't find it. It might not be hidden, but it was under like a pen name or whatever, way back in like the early 2000s. And you know how we met? Online, we were playing the game, and I just randomly was like, "Hey, let's form a band." My name was Ziggy Stardust, and his name was Major Tom. And if you know anything about David Bowie, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the universe, right?
Yes.
Talking. And so people are creating communities in eSports, in Discords, in all different areas, and also in person.
Yes.
And to me, I had students, when I went to Texas not that long ago, I was with a district and I was doing some presentations, and I was presenting about ways for students to get involved in school. And they were like, but what about my students that are at home? What about them? Like they can't be around other people. They're immunocompromised, like other things are happening. And I'm like, get them online. Like, figure out a way to get them online, get them the resources that they need. Let's use this community to help get them those resources. And so when you think about what students can and can't do, what they want to do, what they don't want to do, we always put these labels and confinements in a box, right? And say, oh, you know, what is, you know, playing a first person shooter going to teach you? Well, if I'm going to go into the military, or I'm going to go repair something, or I'm going to go out in the real world, being aware of your surroundings is a life skill, right? You never know what you might face. And so when you're out there and you're looking for eSports, or you're looking for community, oftentimes eSports is that thing for some kids. It's not for all, but it can be for all. You don't have to just play the game. I'm not a first person shooter person. I can get through the demo of like BioShock or whatever, and then somebody like kills me off. Like, and like it always happens, right? Or like my niece laughs at me because like I'm the worst Fortnite player on this green earth, like in this point in time, which people think it's funny, but like it is. She's like, just get on top of the car, Auntie, because otherwise I'm gonna have to come heal you, right? So like we get to play, and we're in 2 different states, and we go online together and do these things. But kids are creating these. Kids are creating these environments. And so there's so much opportunity for schools and parents and for kids and parents to play together and to do these things. And not everybody has access. That's one of the biggest, you know, fall downs of that. But like things like Minecraft, you can. Like, it's not super, super heavy on the tech when you're doing that. So finding those entry level games, playing those things. You also have the marketing part, right? You also have shoutcasting. You also have the part where you have to be able to say, hey, we're going to do this tournament. Like locally here, when
that's
I go
like event planning, right?
It is so much event planning. Like there's so many different ties to different pieces. I'm a huge proponent for girls being in the space, because often we're forgot, right? We're like, oh, it's this thing that, you know, boys mostly do. There's this thing, right? And it's like, no, I can play Mario Kart. Like I like Just Dance. I like you know, all these other games. I also like Dishonored. Like there's these Harry Potter. Like I don't play games the way most people play games either. Girls play differently than boys sometimes.
Explain that.
Okay.
Explain that. Explain how you don't play like everyone else.
Okay, so I've been playing like Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know if I can even say that, for years, since it came out.
Sure.
I am still like in the very beginning of the game, because I keep stopping and taking pictures of like moths in jars and petting the cats. I'm playing my own side quest. That's not even part of the game. I don't know. Maybe I'll get bonus points at the end by petting all the cats. That's what I'm doing. I'm walking around and looking at the graphics. I'm looking at the story behind it. I'm actually looking at the quality of how this game was put together. When I walk, are my footprints there? When I go through the water, is it there? So for me, it's like this relaxing environment. I don't want to go and be like, in these games where it's like you're constantly like adrenaline going, right? I do it for like more of a calming, and when I play Minecraft, I play like vegan. So like I don't like take out the animals. I don't, you know, I let them be. Like leave nature how it is. That's just how I like to play. But it's also good sometimes for us to be in those environments where it's like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen next. I wonder what might happen. And so there's so many different opportunities for kids and even adults.
I was going to say, you've talked about decision making. You've talked about really making the game serve you, right? Yeah. You've talked about the event planning with the events. You've talked about connection and communication and community. And it's this collaboration piece where you can collaborate with someone who isn't in the same space as you, collaborating with someone who doesn't have the same life experiences as you. I think that I always say this, we need to get back to more of that. And so whatever that medium is, eSports, I mean, it could be anything. I was just thinking, like, as you were talking, there's so much there. One of the things, I know Rick asked this question on purpose because he really wanted a hot take between you and I. Like, I know what he was doing. He was setting it up. It was interesting because back in, what year was it? Let me think. 2017, 2016, probably. I went to my district and I was like, hey, I really think that we should like look into this esports thing. Like it's going to be a really big deal. And I think it would be really beneficial for our students. And it's going to give students a place to collaborate and communicate and belong in a way that they haven't, especially for those students who like Jace, who can't play football, for example. And I remember the pushback on that. And it was like, no, like just no. And I was like, well, we could do it like after school. And like, I'm always, again, a problem solver. Like we could do it at this time and I would help. And if we could just get a couple of students, and it never really took off. And I obviously left that school district in 2021, but I remember very soon after they suddenly had esports and they had this whole esports thing and it was a big deal. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think that sometimes, because you said it, women are not viewing the games in the same way, but I also think we aren't viewing anything in the same way. And so when we look at certain things, and I'm not dissing you, Rick, like you have very good perspectives on things, but what I am saying,
I'll take note of that compliment. That's my one for the month, is it?
Yeah, it's the quota. But I just think it's important. You pointed it out, and I want to come back to it. I believe that, especially neurodivergent women, because as you're talking, I'm like, Amanda and I are we're very much on the same wavelength. And you start looking at the world differently and seeing how to solve problems differently. And we should be doing that as women so that we can model that for the girls. Because as a girl in school, just like you said earlier, I was not great at math. I now sort of understand why I wasn't great at math now that I've been diagnosed with ADHD. But I would walk into my science class and very quickly my teacher was like, okay, Tisha, you're at the back of the room. And I'll be like, but why am I at the back of the room? And was it because I was asking questions? Was it because I didn't get it the first time? And that's what he thought I should be getting it as? You know what I mean? It's so interesting. And I didn't have the confidence really to realize that the way that I was looking at the world, the way that you were looking at that video game was actually needed. And that's actually what's going to make the video games better, right? Because of the way you're looking at it. We talk about feedback and reflection a lot, and entrepreneurship skills. I agree with you. I think gaming, I joke about this, but you said Mario Kart and like something in my brain like lights up, and Rick knows because we did a road trip to ISTE. And I always say this, but I'm like, ooh, every time I get my driver's seat, I'm like, oh my gosh, I always feel like Mario or like Princess Peach. I always wanted to be Princess Peach, but I would be driving and I was like, ooh, I really wish I could just like throw some bananas out like at these people who are driving the way that they're supposed to. I don't want them to get hurt. I just want them
to see
to
the
like
car
slow
spin round.
No, I just want them to slow down a little bit. But I think it's interesting because even in my daily life, I will revert back to a video game that I've played and I will think about that. Like the other day, I think I told Rick something like, hey, it's like Pong. Like I use it as analogies all the time. And I just think that it does get a bad rap. I think in general, you and I have talked about this, but parents, and I'm being a parent myself, I can say this, parents sometimes really like to lean on blaming the things of that moment in time on why their kids aren't doing what they think they should be doing, whatever that is. And I think, it used to be The Simpsons. It used to be, Nintendo. Now it's social media or AI or whatever. And I've always been of the thought, why are we not using these things to teach our students those skills so that they can go out and be incredible problem solvers? So I love that you pointed that out. Thank you for doing that.
I think one thing too, like I will say another sort of catalyst plug, if I can. 2 books that I recommend, other than your book, because your book also incorporates that, right? I'm going to get there. But like 2 books that were really, 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 really a catalyst for mathematical mindset, but in life, like Joe Bowler's Limitless Mind. If you've ever read any work by her, her work with Carol Dweck and the research there from Stanford University really opened my eyes, especially as a female in mathematics and science and thinking about these things and why wasn't I understanding it? Because nobody knew how to teach it in that way for me to understand it, and nobody heard when I understood it a certain way.
Yes.
I literally cried the entire time I read the book. That's how good that book was. And the other one that was like sort of like, I don't want to say it's like canon for me, but Reality is Broken from Jane McGonigal. She's a researcher out of the Institute for I believe it's future technologies or something like that here in Palo Alto, California.
Okay.
And her book about why gamings make us better and how they can change the world, and the idea of resilience and how we learn resilience in life by playing video games. And it's not necessarily having to do with being at a school environment.
Sure.
But we're learning all these things outside of the school environment too.
Yes.
And so like when I think about like Play Ed 3 and I think about Ed 3 DAO, I'm thinking, how do we get those experiences that kids are having beyond the classroom into some kind of verifiable platform? So like even leading into Web3, like do we put all my gaming hours, can they go on the blockchain?
Yeah.
Can we link those to those skills? Can we put them out there so that I don't have to pay money to go to the university down the street because I put all this time into, you know, Hogwarts Legacy or whatever, and I'm a photographer in the game, like because that's what I want to be. I want to collect everything.
You're leading your learning by playing video games, and I think that is something that it is. It's a hot topic.
It sparks curiosity. That's the one thing that I see. I mean, when you were explaining how you were actually playing Hogwarts Legacy, it reminds me of how I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2 when that came out, because it really took the world of open world gaming to a new level in my kind of eyes, because the detail that they went to. You could go for a very basic game and just have you running around and doing whatever you want in an open world. But when a studio is creating things to the level of detail that they are, you start to appreciate those things. And I think when you start to appreciate those things, you start to be curious about, how did they actually do that? What engines were they using? Were they using Unreal? Were they using Unity? And start to expand and learn. I mean, I've played around with Unreal. Very overwhelming. But
been
for
there,
people
done that.
that
On the t-shirt, actually.
There you go.
No, literally.
She literally has it.
It's amazing what you can do. And I mean, I even still watch like the keynotes for Unreal. So I've watched the latest one where they've done the new updates, and the level of detail with the graphics now, I'm mind blown how they're doing this. But there's people behind that got into gaming, got into creating digital assets or whatever that might be. Tisha's Alexa's going off and telling her to eat again. It happened in the last episode.
Sorry. It's okay.
But I love seeing those kind of things and the creativity that goes into it. Because for me, creativity is, I'm so passionate about it. And seeing it in that 3D digital world is like mind-blowing to me, what they're able to create, and seeing yourself being this person that will admire the efforts that have gone into it. And I think it goes back to what you were saying, that girls play games differently to boys. And I agree that when you've got things like Call of Duty or League of Legends, World of Warcraft, you tend to see these esport competitions, they're dominated by boys because of the style that they play. Very fast-paced, quick. And that seems to get the entertainment. But then you look at, well, what other games have you got? Like you said, Hogwarts Legacy, but I even think of The Sims.
Yeah.
Building
I
homes,
loved
that
Sims.
kind of stuff.
Ooh, The Sims was
SimCity.
Yes.
It's,
Oh
you
my
have
God.
that creativity,
Back.
even strategy games.
It's like on my computer playing Sims while I was supposed to be doing my college work.
There's a whole, okay, I found this creator and I'm going to call her creator because that's exactly what she is. And she does like current events in The Sims and records
that's
Amazing.
clips.
hysterical.
Like there's one called, I think it's called like Sims of the Union or something. And it's all the presidents of the United States throughout time, and they're all talking, but it's very much like a
Wow.
reality TV show, but
Yeah,
it's
it is
also a current event. I have been watching her content for like the last few weeks, and I'm just like, you are spot on. She also does like love and hip hop and like these other like
well, don't you think that's
TV
interesting
shows.
how she has
cool.
taken that Sims idea and then created something and is now sharing it on the social media platforms available to her? The interesting thing, I'm reading a little bit, Amanda, on your bio that you sent us, and this plays into our conversation where, you know, we're talking about teachers and parents and anybody who's like, games are not helpful. You shouldn't be playing games. Don't waste your time on games, blah, blah, blah. And you said that your hot take is decenter yourself as the knowledge keeper.
Yeah.
And I want to hit on that because I think from a parent perspective, and I am coming at the parents sometimes, like on these episodes, I'll come at the people. Listen, I don't know all of the things. And if I am parenting Jace, for example, and I am going into it thinking that I know everything, like that is the biggest barrier to connect with kids. In my experience, in my opinion, that is the biggest barrier. That is such an ego-centered barrier. I know all of the things. You should listen to me all of the time. It's one of the reasons that in my classroom things shifted. I went, oh, I don't actually know everything. And now I'm going to say it out loud, and I'm going to let them have a little bit of room to lead that. You also say, and this is relevant to what we were kind of talking about, because we were talking about The Sims and MySpace and Facebook before we got started. But use things that are relevant to your students. I love this. You say you can't use a reference from the Jetsons or Donkey Kong when your students are watching Bluey. And I just love that phrase. The thing is, as parents, as older generations, I've said this before in other podcasts, we as a generation, whether we are Gen X, millennials, whatever, we are angry, quote, I'm using quotes, we're angry that students do not know certain references or they don't know how to do certain things. And I often say, okay, they don't know that, but do we take time to teach them, or are we just expecting them to know? If I'm a teacher in a classroom and my students come to me, do I really have the audacity to just expect them to know how to be organized with their time or whatever the case is? So I want you to talk about the quote, decenter yourself as a knowledge keeper. And I want you to talk about it really in terms of what we've been saying, the gaming, the idea behind that. Yeah, tell us more.
So much to unpack. Like we could do like 3 podcasts on that.
I know.
But I'm going to try to keep it brief. It's so hard because my brain goes, ooh, connection. It's like that.
Rick will keep us in check because you and I are the same way.
We could go on like a 5-hour tour right now.
Yes.
Or was it a 3-hour tour?
Yeah, it's a 3-hour tour.
So
that was a reference if you didn't know for Gilligan's Island.
Sorry. I should not expect people to know.
That was funny though. I love this whole episode will now be like random little Easter egg references.
There should be like a disclaimer.
It should be.
At the bottom, like here's a link to the video, right? For context. So so decentering yourself from the classroom, right? Decentering yourself as this knowledge keeper comes from the idea that, like you said earlier, we don't know everything. And if I think I know everything and I call myself this expert or this master at whatever it is, I know things pretty deeply and complexly, but I can never know every single thing about, let's say, Minecraft, for example, right? I learned so many things. I actually had a student recently, I was doing a Minecraft training for some teachers in our district, and it was so funny because one of the teachers brought her daughter with her for a little while till her husband came and picked him up. And she was like telling all the answers. I was asking all the questions for the teachers, right? And this little one, she's maybe about 10 years old, right? She was like, oh, well, all you have to do is this. It's not that hard, you know? And I was just like, do you want to come up and help me co-lead this? And she's like, well, let me show you, because how you're doing this is not really the best way. And I'm like, okay, girlfriend, come on up. Like, let's go. Like, come up and show me. And in so many of those missed opportunities in the classroom we have, right? Because we're not decentering ourselves as this learner. I remember I had 4th graders not that long ago. Probably, I think this is my 7th year starting this year of coaching, right? When I was in the classroom for 4th grade, my students came up to me and they asked me a question. I did not know the answer. They asked me something about why does the magnetic field in the earth like go in a certain direction, right? Why do these magnetic fields exist? And I'm like, that's like astrophysics. I don't know about astrophysics that much. I know a little bit. I probably could look it up, but why don't you guys, you know what? All of you that are asking me this have conspired on the playground about this topic. Go home. And I love it. I love it. Go home tonight or when you're in your after school program or wherever you are and somehow connect with each other and figure out why this is what it is, right? And I thought this class was amazing, but I thought like they'll come back in a couple weeks and tell me after school, right? But they actually came back the next day with a full-on presentation. They wanted the globe, they wanted the PowerPoint, they wanted the clicker, they wanted the little laser pointer, they wanted the markers and the things, because they said first thing in the morning out of their mouth was, we figured out the answer. Can we teach the class? And I'm like, all right, we're going to go do this. I didn't have this on my lesson plan. I didn't have this like mapped out. I didn't have this. And they went into all of these things. And then I had these posters that were like store-bought, right, about rocks and minerals. And we were studying rocks and minerals and parts of the earth at that time. They went into, and by the way, these posters that Miss P has, because back then it was like Miss P. Miss P has, she got those posters from a store, but most of you guys in this classroom were all playing Minecraft together. So just remember that like, I don't even know what it was, like basalt or something is like a rock and mineral in Minecraft. And I was like, wait a minute. And
they
I
were
put
making the
two and two
connections
together. They were making the connections for each other because they had been telling me and bringing me these books about Minecraft after school. And I was like, can you guys just look for your parents to pick you up? And they were like, no, but we need to tell you about this thing. And I was like, but can you guys just look for your parents to pick you up after school? Because I had this other idea of like, oh, I got these things to plan for tomorrow. But then looking back at it, after the year kept going, this kept happening and kept happening and kept happening and kept happening. And it wasn't until it clicked. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are so engaged. Here's what's going on. And I had this happen over and over throughout several years. Like I had one student that was like super into bees one year because we read a story about bees. I had a student that was really into oh gosh, what was it? Oh, we read about genetically modified corn in one of the anthology stories. And apparently they had an uprising on the playground and made posters, and they would not eat corn from the cafeteria until the cafeteria people told them where the corn came from. I did not start this. This was completely student-led. I got called into the office, I remember. And the principal was like, what did you teach them? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, they will not eat, corn out of the little salad bar thing. And I'm like, I didn't teach them anything. Like they taught each other. We just read a story about this, and I gave them an opportunity to think on their own.
You know what's interesting about that, though? I want to hit on that. What did you teach them? So even if you think, you see where I'm going with this. Like there are parents who are. It's so interesting. It just dawned on me just now, the parent. Okay, I'm not going to get into critical race theory and all of the things, but what I am going to say is we know that there are groups of parents who are blaming teachers for certain things. And I love that story because what that reminds all of us about is that as teachers, we are giving them the knowledge, we are sharing the knowledge, but it is up to that student to take that knowledge and lead that knowledge wherever they want it to go. It's up to them to research, to collaborate, to talk to each other, to teach each other. When they get to certain conclusions of things, are you blaming me because they got to that conclusion? I just gave them the knowledge. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So interesting, that comment. What did you teach them? And you're like, I just taught them about this thing that I should be teaching them in my, my objectives, my learning objectives. I don't know what they went and did it. They're tying it together in real world scenarios, which is what we want them to do, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's a great story.
And there's so many other stories I could tell. Like it could be just, I probably should write a book actually.
She just said it live here, you guys. She should write a book. Amanda Macias, what you say is what you see. And so we will be waiting to see that book come to fruition for you.
There is a book brewing. It's in there.
There's
there's
stories,
and
that's
there's
the thing.
journals and there's things like
anytime someone's, because I used to say that too. I used to say for years, there's a book here. It's in here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how I'm going to get it out, but it's here and it will come out eventually. But I believe that. I believe you have a book inside of you. Rick, I think, might have another hot take question for you, but I'm not sure. I don't want to set you up, Rick. Do you?
You're just putting me in straight on in the spotlight to come up with something.
Oh, I thought you had something.
Well, I do. I mean, there's loads of things that we can talk about, but at the same time, we know we don't have 6 hours to kind of sit and chat.
He's telling us to. I know.
Oh.
I know. I've been the gatekeeper of the time for these episodes, and unfortunately, I have to keep to them. But I think one of the things, obviously, we've talked about eSports and the powers that brings as well. But you're, as we said before, you're not a teacher that just keeps to the typical classroom experience, and you empower your students to go above and beyond. And we briefly mentioned it was the Web3 area of it. Obviously, we can dive down a massive rabbit hole with regards to Web3, but from your experience, could you just tell our listeners who aren't familiar with Web3 what Web3 actually is? Talk to me like I was a 5-year-old.
First grader.
I feel like it's a chat GPT thing. So yeah, it's funny because I used to say that in my classroom too. I'm like, okay, you guys are 6th graders, as if you were talking to a 3rd grader or whatnot, right? I think Web3, it's sort of this idea, I think, at the moment, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm open to people disagreeing, and I invite that, right? Challenge. But Web3 is built on the ideas of Web 2, and I think Web 2 was what we thought we wanted it to be, but then it became super centralized. Like, I remember MySpace, and even going backwards between that, like Friendster and those types of things, right? And then we got to Facebook, and now it's Meta and all of the things, right? It's become so centralized that now it's like, I'm not creating space. And I want to go back to like all of our conversations we sort of had, and even my t-shirt, like skateboarding is not a crime, right? It's about owning the space. Like skateboarding as a culture, as a vibe, is about owning a space and having a space where community can come together, right? Whether it's virtual, whether it's in person, that kind of thing. And I feel like what we do, like with Ed3 DAO and what we do in some other spaces, is like we have all of these communities and we're all sort of saying the same thing, but we don't necessarily all have the same space to like have that conversation. And so for me, Web3 is about community. It's about us taking back spaces that don't need to be on a paid platform or whatever, us taking back ownership. I'm sorry, my head's going to start going.
I love it.
Like taking back ownership of the learning, the space, the creativity, like you said, right? Because creativity and critical thinking, which we've talked a ton about right now, is at the foundational level of learning. If I didn't have creativity in designing a skateboard ramp for our neighborhood as kids, I don't know how to design, like, to measure things or whatever. We just cut it and like put it together. Like it worked for us, right? And then later on we learned, oh, you know what? That type of wood doesn't really work for that. We need a little bit thinner wood or thicker wood, or hey, how can we change that balance beam on the playground after school to be like a rail slide, and how can we make it more slidable? How can we so it's about like creating, right? And like you put wax on it, and or a candle, from the 99-cent store or whatever. I think back then it was like Thrifties or something. But like you do the things and you create space, and kids are creating spaces.
Yes.
And they're owning their space. We're just maybe not seeing it so much maybe I'm speaking just for my area, but we're not seeing it so much outside. It's not this visible space. It's this online space that they're creating. And so allowing them, with safety in mind, I want to put that out there, in spaces where they are creators, they're taking over these things. They are thinking about their future, and they're owning their own data. Because right now, data is a big thing that we all talk about. And it's a hot topic. I've been on a few like calls with, Digital Promise and a couple other places that are just innovating and talking to educators.
Mm-hmm.
All of these places that are creating all of these things is just some places are recreating the same thing.
Yes.
And the status quo.
Yes.
And some of us, I feel like Ed3DAO is one of those spaces.
Yes.
We're creating and connecting and doing things differently.
Yes.
And it's not in this linear process. It's not this hierarchy process. And it doesn't mean we don't need leaders, right?
Sure.
But we need people who are willing to let things fail. And I often talk about the failure dynamic in game spaces. I learned resilience because I failed so many times doing that jump in Mario, Super Mario Brothers. How many times did it take me to beat
so many times?
0.8?
And I would just not eat or drink or do anything until I could get it done, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Every single time.
I agree with you. I think what I love that you said is people are not just doing the status quo, right? And that as you were talking, there was something about, as you were talking about putting wax on the wood so it would make it more slidable.
Yeah, on the metal,
Yeah.
on the poles.
So I started thinking, it's so interesting. And then you said we would just cut the wood and we would just see if it worked. We didn't measure it. We didn't. So it's so interesting how you're thinking of things like that, because I'm applying that to the classroom. I'm applying it to education processes. I'm applying it even to my work at Wakelet or at Smart or wherever you're working. It doesn't matter. Think about if you told them, I'm just going to try this thing and see if it works. A lot of times there is panic around that risk taking, right? Oh, but what do you have proof that it works? But I'm not sure that it would work. So maybe we shouldn't do that. I know Rick probably can speak to this with UX and UI and taking risks on designing certain things. I mean, am I wrong in saying if Amanda and I came to you and said we want to do this thing, but we don't really have proof and we think it might work, but will you let us do it? What would your response be to us? Rick?
I mean, you know how I work every single time. I would have questions. I would have a lot of questions every single time.
But why? Why would you have questions? That's kind of what I want to get to.
Yeah, for me and the way that I work is I'm wanting to understand what you thought about. Obviously, you're coming with, well, we've not really thought about, we don't know if it's actually going to work and stuff. I'm going to want to pick your brains to understand it myself, because I don't know if it's just the way that my mind works. If you've got a problem, I want to help solve that problem. But I think the biggest thing...
Ice Baby.
Ice Baby.
Yeah.
If you got a problem, I'll solve it.
I was going to fill it in for him, but I didn't have to.
I'm sorry, Rick.
It was so good. No, I'm so glad we did that. He walked right into that too.
Yeah. I haven't got a complete clue, and you just completely sideswiped me on that one.
No.
But I think
so
your point.
True.
Rick, I know what you're trying to say. You would have questions. You would want us to validate why we were doing that. And I think that is something we have to think about. So my students would come to me and they'd be like, Miss Paul, just like Amanda's students. So this is what we want to do. We want to present this. We need the clicker. We need the this. We need the that.
Yes.
If Amanda had said, no, that is not on my plan today, she would have missed an opportunity for a much greater impact of learning. And that is really what I'm trying to say with this. In companies, as entrepreneurs, as startups, as whatever you're in, if your employees are coming to you and saying, you know what, we really think this would work based on our experience, our expertise, kind of let us try it. If the risk isn't high and you're not losing a lot of money, why not let someone come in with that curious idea?
Well, Mark Zuckerberg did it with Facebook when they were introducing, I can't remember if it was adding video into Facebook or whether it was the tagging people. And the idea just came from some engineers. Mm-hmm. They just came with this idea, and Mark just turned around and said, well, go play around with it and come back with an idea or a potential solution or feature. And those engineers went off outside of work time and built this feature that ended up being something that is now heavily used in the platform itself. You do want to be giving
in
them
every
that
platform,
freedom,
right?
Yeah, you want it in anything that you are doing where you have people that are curious, you want to give them the freedom.
Okay,
and
but
I think
you
there is
said they had to go outside of the work hours to do that.
They did, because they're being paid to do a particular job.
Okay. Whoa, we got real spicy real quick.
Hold on. Okay, let's go on the business side.
Let Amanda say it.
I want to jump in here because I hear exactly, like, I feel like I'm a bridge right now. Like, as an instructional coach, I'm going to cognitively coach us through this, right? We all three agree that there is no one right way to do something?
Yes.
Can we foundationally agree?
Well, I mean, Tisha's drilled that into me many, many times.
Okay.
I think I've swayed that way.
A way, not the way. Yes.
For my, like, if I'm using the example of the skateboard ramp, right? I'm still using the engineering. I'm still, like, it's going to be a safe skateboard ramp that I'm building.
Yes.
But I don't have a background in engineering. And I also didn't have access to the money. It was like, hey, Grandpa, can I borrow $10 or whatever to go get some wood? Now you can't find plywood for under $50 probably a panel. But, like, finding those pieces and putting it together, is that not a form of play?
Yeah.
Because I'm playing with it, right? And so oftentimes in the classroom, I would give students maybe a few materials to start. And then they would be like, well, can I have some paint, or can I bring in my, can I just go bring in some materials from home? And I'm like, yeah, as long as your parents are cool with it, like, bring things, like, they would bring in cardboard boxes, newspaper clippings, like, all different things. And we would give them, like, this, I think it was called, like, Genius Hour or 20%.
Yes, it was.
I didn't even know what that was.
Yes.
I just gave them, like,
we
a
do
little
it
bit of time.
Without the names. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just gave them a little bit of time because it was like, whatever. And then later on, I learned about this thing called Genius Hour and 20% time. But actually, locally here, there's a business here that's Garner Holt Productions. It's a very local business. They also work with our high schools, and they have, like, CTE pathways, and they teach you how to make, like, I don't know if you've ever been to Disneyland or not, but the little birds, the animatronic birds and things in the tiki room.
Yes.
Okay, so they teach our kids how to make things like that. They teach our kids how to make, and I say kids, sorry, it's just a habit, but our students.
Future entrepreneurs.
Yes. Like, they're showing them ways of doing things, and our students are actually, like, changing little tweaks. So it's a starting point to play, because yes, you have these materials, and yes, but if we only give them, like, I only give you the directions on how to make this unicorn, right? This is one of those creators series. I don't know if you've seen these from Lego. But they're like, you can create 3 different things out of the one box of Lego.
Yep.
Sure.
And I'm like, I changed it. Like, I put different colors than it said in the box, and I didn't want it to be just the unicorn that was in the box. I wanted to add a couple extra things to it, right? So you are, in essence, not directly teaching, but indirectly teaching and allowing us as educators or as business people or as teachers to play. I'm going to use the word play with education, because guess what? We're not experts. We're not the center of the universe, even though I love thinking that I'm the queen of my castle. It's not true. Like, it's an idea, and we don't know everything. We don't have the same lived experience. So letting our students reclaim those spaces and letting our educators reclaim some of that time to do some things and try some innovative activities, that's the only way my teachers as a coach have actually, like, engaged back into work. I'm going to say post-pandemic, because post-pandemic, it's been a lot of, like, oh, we got to get back on track. Oh, we got to get, and it's really all it is being able to say, you know what, I got to let go of some things that I used to do, let go of some control,
and ignite some other things.
See what happens.
Yes.
So Rick, if Amanda and I came to you, would you give us space, 20%? Would you give us room to play?
I would give you room to play.
I'll listen to the hesitance.
Yeah, the reason why I'm hesitant is because my mindset, which over my experience is, in my opinion, incorrect. It's wrong, because I've been drilled into this process, and we had this on our the podcast we did with Font.
Mm.
It's about you work on a project, you finish it, you move on to the next one, you move on to the next one, you move on to the next one. So it's changing that mindset of going, you know what, you need to have this 80-20 rule. And I know that we did at Wakelet, we tried to have that 80-20 where engineers and designers can work 4 days on the things that they're working on and have that 1 day to play, try things out. I mean, we did hackathons and stuff like that to really give people the freedom that it's not like, right, this is where we're going, this is what you need to focus on. Let's see what crazy ideas they can come up with. And some of those ideas, they were implemented into the platform.
You can tell Amanda and I can just tell it based on, I knew it before, but this podcast has solidified it. Like when you put us in spaces where you're going to restrict us with that, like, do the project, now we're moving on, and it's like, there is no room for innovation. And if we don't, and I'm speaking to everybody here, not just parents or administrators, but everybody. If you are a CEO of a startup or you're the CEO of a big company, you're a leader at a big if we do not allow room for innovation in our day-to-day, that is every day. That is in that work day. If there is not space, if we are finding ourselves in meetings, projects, and we've not allowed the room, we cannot look at ourselves and go, well, why isn't it working? Why are we not making progress? Well, because you've restricted the innovation to happen. And I think that again, it goes back to what you said, Amanda, in your little bio, decenter yourself as the knowledge keeper. That is a call to action for everybody, right? Including Rick. I'm just kidding.
I will put myself in that box if it means that it's improving my way of thinking, which I'm always growing. So one thing I was just came to my mind then. Have you both heard this push for 4-day weeks, work weeks?
Yes.
And I think that there is pros and cons to it. You can have, do everything in 10 hours for 4 days a week, you get a 3-day weekend.
Amanda and I can do that.
I love how we both picked up our mug at the same time. Like,
we didn't even plan that. We were like sipping our tea because it is tea. We could do that.
It's the fact that you are on the screen here. I've got the camera in front of you, and I can see both of you in the corner of my eye doing the exact same thing.
I know.
And it is. Okay, I was just ready for that. But anyway, I know you can do that, and there's the argument is, you'll do a 40-hour week in 4 days. But really what I'm looking at, going off the 80-20 rule, is companies' mentality need to be, no, don't do 40 hours in 4 days. Keep to what you have. Just have your office main days as Monday to Thursday, if that's what it is. And Friday is let your staff do what they want.
It's like a flexible day, right?
It is a flexible day. Obviously, you don't want everybody just sleeping every single Friday.
No, but that's the thing. I mean, yes, you would have some of that. But like for me, that's when I was saying allow some room and some space for innovation, for thinking. We're saying allow students time to think. Well, are we allowing our teachers time to think? Are we allowing time for them to play and innovate?
Nope.
Are we allowing the people that we work with or that we're managing time to play and think? I'm not sure.
No, I will jump in on that and say straight away that is a definite no, because when we had Stacey on in our last episode, and she commented on, I said, when you're doing work while you're having your lunch, and she said you can have just lunch, is a massive statement. It just shows that educators all around the world are working countless hours every single minute of every hour.
But are we making the traction that we think we are when we are expecting that type of productivity, whether it is a teacher, a colleague, someone that we're managing, whoever? Are we really making progress? Or are we just like totally like, joking with ourselves like, hey, we were really productive this week and we're making I don't know. I think it's a very important conversation that, again, we could talk about forever. And we now know that Tisha and Amanda are sort of on one side, and then we have Rick.
I'm getting ganged up on, basically.
Honestly, like I have the book right here. Like,
yes,
read this. Look,
Yes.
if you don't cry in chapter 1, then I don't know, but and maybe you're just not a crier. I'm a crier. I'm always that teacher that
Amanda and
had
I
their
are
heart go up her
empaths
sleeves.
too.
Yeah. Oh, big
Yes.
time. Big
Yes.
time. So very much. But like it goes back to is like I'm so tired of people coming back and being like, "Hey, we're going to do an icebreaker. Why is your why? Find your passion. Find, we're going to kumbaya this thing together." And I'm like, "You know what? We're not going to kumbaya this thing together.
Everybody's
what
tired
I'm
of
gonna do
kumbayaing.
is I'm going to give you time as a coach. I'm going to work with my administrator and we're going to find some time to play.
Yes.
And if there's work that has to be done, why can't it be done in a very open, fluid format?" I mean, I watched teachers the last couple of years, like, as I was like, okay, how can I incorporate play and it not just be a scavenger hunt, right? Or it not just be a jigsaw activity. Yeah, this is fun. No, it's not. Like, let's be real.
Authentic
and
play.
be people and be human and say, you know what is it that's going to ignite the spark? And I'm going to use the title of the podcast with Franz because that's the one that he told me, like, what ignites your spark? Like, what gets you going? And really, if it's not the people that you're surrounding yourself with on a daily basis at your school site or at your district or in your office or whatever, and you're isolated from each other and you're closing the door and you're just like, whatever, you're not sharing, then we don't value community. Like, we could say we want to do equity, diversity, inclusion, and all of these things, and we could have this beautiful motto sprawled across the wall. But really, are we valuing what, like, are our values aligned to what we're actually saying we value? And it's like, it's not just a motto that you stick on the wall of your classroom and say, "Oh, we're a family." No, you know what? No, I have a family at home. We're going to go to school. We're going to learn together. We are a community. We're professional learning community. And maybe you have people like I have you and Rick, and I have so many other folks, and we all sort of like have this big network of people that we can lean on and go, am I crazy here thinking this?
Yeah.
Am I?
It's that checks and balances, but you're right. The thing that you said, and I hope Rick clips this because it was good what she said before. If we say we're about community, but we're going and isolating ourselves and not talking or meeting with or collaborating and innovating with the people that we are around, we aren't really about community, right? That's so good. Rick, can we do Juicebox Confessionals
I was
now?
literally about to say that I think this is a perfect segue to Juicebox Confessionals.
I have a lot of different questions here. And I don't like it because I want to ask Amanda all of them.
I mean, we can hang out afterwards. I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, okay, so Juicebox.
I've got perfect one. We have a part 2.
Oh, we have a part 2 with Amanda. That's a good idea. We do another episode with it because we haven't even. I didn't even get to ask you about AI yet. Yes, we are going to have Amanda Macias come back for an AI episode. I had it on the back burner, but our conversation went in a different direction.
I think it would be good though, even after I start back to school, because Ken Shelton and Saba are both coming to my district.
Okay,
and it'll be interesting to have both of them in the space and hear their perspectives on things.
Absolutely.
So,
okay, we will plan that. We will have Amanda back for a different episode around the topic of AI.
We call it spicy AI enchiladas or something like that. Like putting the spice in AI.
We can.
I don't know.
You say that.
AI
that's getting noted.
I feel like we need Fonz in on this conversation.
Oh, that might be good.
I mean,
okay.
Like, I don't know.
That'd be a power duo episode right there. I do think that's a good one. Rick is gonna mark that down because
you need secret people that like come in. You know how on Jerry Springer or whatever.
Let's
totally
now
bad
bring
example,
out our next.
But be
that's a good idea.
We have a secret guest coming out.
That's what we're gonna do, Rick.
Blah, blah, blah,
we're gonna do Amanda's so full of these references, and I love it. We're gonna do a Jerry Springer type episode.
No chair throwing though.
No chair throwing. Nobody can throw anything. So good. Okay. So Juicebox Confessionals, I'm gonna start off really mild here. It's just because I'm just very interested now that we've had this conversation. I'm super interested to know, Amanda, when you were in school, so any year that you can remember, what was your go-to lunch? Whether you took a lunch to school and packed it, or you got lunch at school, what was the go-to Amanda Macias lunch?
Okay. I'm we used to be able to, I don't know if this is still a thing in some areas, but we used to be able to work in the cafeteria.
Oh.
Like some people,
Okay.
like there was like a privilege that you got, right?
I used to work in the office.
And
yes.
so you got this privilege to go 30 minutes early before all the lunches started. I don't know why maybe they just wanted to put me somewhere where they were like, I'm over you asking so many questions.
Neurodivergent curiosity.
Yeah.
Let's give her a job.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, it was the gate class or whatever. So it was like, let's go over there, right? And I'm like, oh man. So I went over there, and literally the two things I can remember, and this is more elementary school, were like tater tots. I don't know what they put in them to make them so crispy and lovely, and I could just like taste them right now, right?
Yeah.
But if there were some left over at the end of lunch, you got to take a few and put them in your pocket and like eat them in
Napoleon
class,
Dynamite.
Right? Very much Napoleon Dynamite. And so that was good. And then the other thing, and these are like not like healthy foods, right? These are just like things. I know, Rick, I think you were talking about a sponge cake, right? You reminded me of this. There was this cake that we used to get, and it was only like once a month on a Friday. And normally my grandmother would pack my lunch, but we got to get hot lunch sometimes, right? Is what we called it. And they had this cake, and it was a tiny little like square of cake, and it was called Gee Whiz cake. And they I don't know how they advertised it to us or whatever, but it was like chocolate moist cake. I've never tasted it since then. But like this moist cake with white, like creamy frosting on the top.
Oh.
It was the best cake. So it's not really like a lunch food, but more of like these two other things that just brought me joy.
I would really like to have tater tots now.
Yeah.
You have
you've now got me interested in getting tater tots.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, next question. What was your AIM or AOL screen name? Do you remember?
Gosh. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I had a few. Okay. So, oh my gosh, this is so going to give you information that you probably are going to be able to find stuff about me online. I don't know if I want to give this out, but I'm going to give it out anyway.
Okay.
And I won't tell you how I spelled it. That'll be the catalyst. Maybe you'll find it, maybe you won't. There may be some rock band content out there under this name still, just saying. So one of them was Cure Fan 80.
Yes.
Because, we all had to have like different things and whatever. And there was already like Cure Fan 1, so I couldn't be that.
There always was,
like
right?
The 80th one. UCR Fan, which was my university, like UCR Fangirl or something like that. And then my most prominent one, which my friends that are close to me still call me Raven. It was Raven Cure.
Oh.
So it was also a pen name that I used to write for on a blog, and I used to be on a podcast, which I'm still on the podcast from time to time, but I'm back in the day, and just kind of went from there. And I met tons of people online that maybe some of them I shouldn't have been talking to, but a lot of people end up becoming like real life friends.
They do.
Yeah. So yeah.
I
had like
that.
lots of different ones, because if I didn't want to talk to somebody or like a group of people, I went to a different screen name. Sounds really like sus now that I think about it. I'm like, why didn't I want to talk to them? But I didn't want them to know I was online. I'd be like, hi, what's going on? And I'm just like,
so fun.
I want to go over here and not talk to
them. It's so fun. The behavior of online back then, I've never told this story. I'm going to tell this story. I can't believe you're getting me out of it.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
So I guess it was AOL. I guess that's Rick what I was dying.
On. Look at Rick.
I know. I don't actually know what it was. It was a message board. It was something. I end up with this pen pal. He's from Canada. And I am like, we are just going back and forth. And again, no one really taught us online behavior.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, oh, I should be wary of who I'm talking to. Now, our parents didn't even know, right? So I have this pen pal, and he was like, let's send each other pictures. This isn't going in the direction that you think it is, just FYI, so don't freak out. But so we exchanged pictures, and I just remember like getting his letter or his picture in the mail and thinking to myself, oh my God, I've been talking to a real person. And here is the proof of that real person. And then I was like, I don't think I want to talk to him anymore. I think we're done. And you know what I mean? Like I did kind of what you did. I was like, it's been so great chatting with you, but I am going to go here now.
Yeah,
and
really.
It's because we didn't know, like it was such a new world for us. And then I once was on a chat room where someone told me that, if you know this, Babyface Edmonds, what was it? You know what I'm talking about? And he was like, yeah, that's who I am. I live in Florida. And he was like telling me all of these things. And that was probably my first like experience where I went, is this real? Is this real? Could this be real? And then I would research it. And so I don't know. I didn't end up talking. So weird.
Yeah. We didn't know what we didn't know.
We didn't. Exactly. Okay. This is my last question for you. Which 80s or 90s song or soundtrack, so you can choose either, defined your educational philosophy?
Oh, man.
That's a tough one, that.
80s or 90s? The song or the band?
Either one.
I'm going to have to go with Depeche Mode. Because, like, people are people. You're your own personal Jesus. Like, all the songs that were there, like, I met so many people through music, like, and collectively talking about music and thinking about music and going, oh my gosh, you like that band too? And, you know, like, just their vibe of, like, how they put things out there still today is, like,
relevant.
It's classic. It's relevant. It's like listening to a vinyl record. I remember this time there was a first grader that came up to me and they were like, excuse me, teacher, like tugging on your shirt, right? I'm an undergraduate. And she's like, I'm like, yeah, what's up? And she's like, can we listen to that big CD? And I'm like,
oh no.
I had to process for a minute and I'm like, big CD, what are they talking about? And I look at my like mentor teacher and I'm like, what are they talking about? Yeah, so it was a record.
The record.
Yeah. So they wanted to play the PE record. Why wouldn't they?
It's crazy though, because now that's what they're all, the generation now, like the 20-year-olds and below are like, so can you give me a DVD player for Christmas? And I want all the DVDs and I want literally I want a digital camera. I'm like, you have one in your hand in the form of an iPhone. Why do you want another one? And it's like I do think there is this is a whole nother episode we can talk about on our next episode with Amanda, but there is a shift. There is a shift in the students and the learners and future leaders of the world with technology, I believe. So,
and there's a lot more of around, as we say, ownership. As we say, ownership with data, but ownership of many other things. But we won't get into that right
now. For sure.
Well, Amanda, what upcoming projects or events do you have coming up that we can amplify on this episode for you?
Oh my goodness. I've been sort of taking a back, you know how you talked about at the beginning, like stepping back.
Yes.
Right? Because I was doing a lot of things and to play, like it's my play, right?
Yeah.
Nothing really like globally, other than just having conversations and chats and things like that. I do have a Ed Week article that should be published. I don't know when, but I just submitted it on how white educators can help not be quiet during the current reality that we're living. And so I always talk about the fact that education is political. So not to get too much into the weeds of that, but if we don't take a stand for critical thinking, creativity, and the things that are of value to our students, I don't even say just to me, but like to our students, then what are we doing? Like,
exactly.
What are we even doing? Like, why are we doing this? So
absolutely.
I do have that article coming out soon. Just sort of taking a backseat, taking my own advice and like
allowing room.
Just having space and like reclaiming some space for, hey, how could we do this differently this year? Because it's gonna look different this year.
Absolutely.
There's not going to be as much funding this year. There's not going to be right. And so do we need to have funding to make our system better? Do we need to have a new doopa-doopa-doo over here? Right? Or do we need to like scale it back a little bit and go, you know what? we've
Back
got
to
everything
basics.
we need right here
Mm.
in all of us collectively, and we all don't have to take on that burden by ourselves.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
agree. That's a great stopping place. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This conversation was fabulous. Loved having
Yeah.
you. Can't wait to have you back. Rick,
Yep.
what else?
Yeah. Where can people follow you if they want to check out what you're up to and stuff?
So I left X. A lot of people were sad about that, but I did leave it. I'm on Blue Sky and also LinkedIn. Those are probably the best places to find me. My other accounts are pretty like personal and like just really close friends and family. So if you're there, you know what I post. But
she gave us all of her usernames, so you guys just, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and like if you find my content about, let me know. Like
we'll just email you or direct message you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, if you're like, I found your content. I don't know. It's probably out there. IBM owned a bunch of it because we used to do it on Ustream.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard Ustream or Justin TV, which became Twitch, right?
Yeah.
We used to Ustream a lot, and we actually created our own shows with just AV cables and Skype, like back in the day. So, there's probably stuff out there. You know, just you have to play.
Yeah, amazing.
We do.
Amazing, cool, excellent. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode. You can follow Tish and I on any social medias. I'm not going into the usernames. They're all in the show notes as well as for the Played 3 podcast. If you've enjoyed the episode, please give it a like, a review, subscribe if you're looking on YouTube, follow if you're on Spotify or any other platform that you maybe listen to. It is always a big help. But yeah, Amanda, thank you for joining us. And
thank you,
we'll
Amanda.
see you in the next episode.
Sounds good. I can't wait.
Again.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for being a part of this episode. Continue the conversation with us online. Subscribe and follow, and let us know if you'd like to join as a guest or if there's someone you'd like to hear from.
We'd love to connect with you on X, Instagram, and TikTok. All links and show notes will be available in the episode description. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and playing.